Alex Antic is a South Australian senator for the Liberal Party. Graham Richardson is a legend to the Senate and a life member of the Labor Party. Let's get into this conversation. Richard, how are you, great man? Been too long. How are you?
Mate, I'm feeling dangerous. So look out.
Good to see. Well, Alex, get ready, because this ain't the normal we serve up. Get ready. He'll bring the fight to you. Now, today... I
don't need a dangerous Richo.
Well, get ready. Now, today, your colleague in New South Wales, Andrew Bragg, said there has to be an investigation into these so-called grassroots groups that all have the same name and all have the same purpose, tipping out so-called conservative members of the Liberal Party. Here in part is what he had to say about where does all their money come from.
There's a group in Wentworth in Sydney which has claimed to have raised 300 grand. And so at this stage, I think they're just building up a war chest. But they're collecting the money in many ways in breach of the electoral laws, which require there to be clear guidance to donors.
Yeah, so Alex, what do you think about this? Because clearly they're all going to say, no, we might have the same purpose, but we're all completely separate. There's no back-end operation that we share.
Yeah, well, look, Braggy's quite right. I mean, these community groups, as they're pitching, are far from it in many instances. And I think all Australians ever really want is to rely on the integrity of the electoral process. And, these groups do ultimately cause problems in that regard, because ultimately we don't know everything about them. Some of them don't have the requisite authorisations under the Electoral Act, which doesn't allow the AEC to take action if there are breaches of the Act. What we're seeing, and we've seen this, of course, with Get Up at the last election. We saw that many times. People didn't know what it was about, didn't know it was a left-wing advocacy group. It just sounded like a community group, Get Up. It sounded fine. But we're now seeing people increasingly live to these issues. And ultimately, I think people need to know the facts, where the money's coming from, who's behind them, and what the agenda is, because I think these unaligned community groups are often nothing much more than left-wing advocacy groups, and we need to know that.